Lena falls to the ground once again, and she realizes she's bleeding so bad, she's losing so much blood, and she's, losing all this energy, and the adrenaline is starting to wear off in her body. And so she decides the best thing for her to do is to hop on top of the truck, because if she stays on the ground at this point, he's definitely going to get sick of just ramming into her, and he's finally going to run her over and kill her. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for stopping by again. I'm Nurse Dre. Guys, I am so freaking mad. I promise you guys, I have not just been not doing anything for the past month or so. I literally did this whole video, y'all, on why I am refusing the vaccine that's come out for the virus. I'm not taking it, and I came out, had all my sources together, all my reasons, and I uploaded the video, and YouTube censored me. So, I haven't just been not doing anything. I was really devastated, and, they blocked the video or whatever, but they called it medical misinformation, which, when you cite the CDC on their own words, and, the WHO and the NIH, I don't think that's medical misinformation, but nonetheless, I was censored. So I'm thinking about getting a BitChute account or something else. I don't know. Stay tuned for that. Anyways, before you head out of the video, make sure you do hit that subscribe button, check me out on the socials, and share this with a friend if you do think it is worthy. My last video was the Atlanta massacre, or a video on Mark Barton, who decided to shoot up the financial district in Atlanta, Georgia, which is very close to me. That's a wild ride. Go check that out if you want. But this week we are talking about not a death, thank the Lord. We are talking about two brave, strong, courageous women who defied all odds and just became like these Amazon women and fought back their attacker on a beach in South Australia. So this is Lena and Beatrice. Lena is from Germany and Beatrice is from Brazil, and both of these girls at the same time in their life, their early 20s, had decided to go out to Australia to go backpacking, to see the sights. They were young, they were free, they just wanted to see the world, and they found themselves in Australia in 2016. Now, when they met in 2016 in Australia, they realized they had so much in common. And backpacking can be a dangerous thing. However, in Australia, people around the world see it as a little bit more safe. Australia is a little bit more safe than a lot of other places in the world. So people do go there by themselves, and they have both gone by themselves. Now, they met, they figured out they had a lot in common, and they decided that they would backpack together. They were in Adelaide and they wanted to go to Melbourne, Australia. But neither one of them had a car. Of course, like I said, they were backpacking. And backpacking means you have to find a ride. You either have to take a bus or you have to, use your thumb and hitchhike across the land. So they decided to be a little, I guess they felt that it would be a little bit better if they went onto a website and found someone that was going that way to help take them, instead of maybe just sticking their thumb out and hoping for the best. So they went on a website called Gumtree. Now, Gumtree is like the American Craigslist, which is you can buy and sell things on there, as I understand it, but it's more so it's personal ads and things like that. So Beatrice ends up posting an ad on Gumtree. She says that, she needs this ride to Melbourne, and her and her friend are going to be going together. Is there anyone out there that could possibly be taking the same route and they could all ride together? Well, she gets 2 responses within a couple of days. And the first one really seems to be this great guy. He's on his way in that same direction. He seemed to be when they were communicating, he seemed to be more of a nice guy than the second guy who would end up responding. And she would end up choosing him because the second guy that responded to her ad was kind of pushy and really weird. He would say things like,
"Tell me, are you going? Are we going? Why aren't you speaking to me?"
like a weirdo. So she chooses the first guy. They decide to meet up. However, the night before the meetup, the guy has car trouble. And so he obviously can't take them anymore, so she's kind of forced to go with the guy that had been really pushy before and pretty much rude to them. But they wanted to get to Melbourne, and they felt like this was their best way to get there. You know, they're limited on cash, they're limited on resources, there's not much they can do. So the guy that they come in contact with, his name is Roman Hines. Roman Hines had, you know, grown up, been married a couple of times. I think each time, like, the marriage would end because of spousal abuse. He was basically an abusive person. Like, he beat the crap out of his wives, and literally, like, the same week before all of this took place, he had just beat up his ex-wife. Like, he had tried to strangle her, he basically tried to kill her, but she never went to the police. And so Roman dips out after beating her and decides to go to Salt Creek, which is kind of like 2 hours south of Adelaide, I understand. And it's a beach though. And but a lot of people go there to hunt and stuff like that. And he knew this beach and this area like the back of his hand. Like, he would go camping and hunting there all the time. But when he finds this ad on Gumtree, creeping around, you know, he decides to meet up with these girls and take them in that direction. Now, he had a hunger for torture. He was a sick, sadistic, depraved man, okay? He, like I said, had beat his women, he had beat his children, he had beat anything he'd come in contact with, and it's said that he may have done this previously, like picked up some girls or a girl and kidnapped them previously. We can't prove anything. But we do know that his plans that day were not anything with good intentions. He was not trying to be that good guy to just give them a ride to Melbourne. He had a sick and twisted plan in mind for these two beautiful young women. But he would end up choosing the two unexpected girls who would ultimately give him a run for his money. Biatch. So on that fateful Tuesday when these three people would fatefully meet together, Beatrice and Lena, they meet up at the meeting spot, and to their surprise, Roman Hines is almost already there, and he seems to be a little bit older and rougher looking than he had led on to be. But the girls kind of had like this false sense of security because the whole safety in numbers thing, like there's two of them, one of him, if something were to go wrong, like they'll be fine, you know, like they can take care of themselves. But that's not the case at all. However, Roman was being quite the gentleman, opening the doors for the girls. He was, you know, they would stop every, you know, so often at like, you know, like a sightseeing place or a beautiful beach or whatever, and he would help them take pictures so that they can remember their trip. So they're all taking pictures, they're having a great time. Beatrice, you know, she's in the front seat, Lena's in the back. They're all like thinking, oh, this is great, this is going good, and what could go wrong? But not long into their trip, they get to Salt Creek, where Roman Hines knows this area like the back of his hand. He pulls over and he doesn't tell the girls why or anything. He literally just starts setting up camp. Now, the girls are kind of weary at first, but they do know that this is going to be a long trip. It's getting later in the day. Maybe it would be a smart thing to go ahead and set up camp now before it starts getting dark. And this might be the perfect place. It's beautiful. They could take a lot of pictures here. It'd be a lot of fun. Just have a nice evening out on the beach. Well, at this time, Lena would later say that she felt like she started getting like this gut feeling in her stomach, like something was kind of off about Roman. Some of the things that he was saying, some of the gestures he would make, stuff. And when he just pulled over without even asking the girls if they wanted to pull over, granted, it's his truck and it's his time. If he wants to pull over, yeah, he can, but like, it would just be kind of common courtesy to talk to the other people in your car about what you're going to do, where you're going to stay, and where you're going to stop. Nonetheless, she's okay because Beatrice is kind of okay. Like, Beatrice is smiling, having a good time. She's fine. She's not really having a whole lot of bad feelings about it like Lena is. However, they get out of the truck, they start to set up camp, and as Roman is setting up, the girls kind of go off together for a second and they talk about it, and they're like, what do you think? Is he a good guy? Are you getting good vibes from him? And both of them agreed that they thought he was a little weird, he was a little bit older, he was different than what he said he was on the Gumtree account, but they're already there now, so what are they gonna do? So they might as well make the best of it and just be weary of their surroundings, you know, just try to pay more attention, I guess. However, Lena at this point is exhausted, and so Lena goes and lays the seat back in the truck and takes a nap. Now, as she's sleeping, Roman begins to tell Beatrice that he's an avid hunter in this area, and the area is notorious for kangaroos. And if she wanted to see some, he had seen some footprints while he had been out setting up camp that he thought were kangaroo footprints. And if she wanted to see them, he would be glad to take her out there so she could get some pictures of them. And so she's excited. She's like, hell yeah, let's do this. Let's go see. So they start walking out towards the sand dunes, getting further and further away from Lena, unsuspecting Lena. And unsuspecting Beatrice gets so far out there and she sees absolutely no kangaroos and no fingerprints, no footprints in the sand from where kangaroos had even possibly been there. So she's like, okay, I don't see anything, Roman. I don't see anything out here. What are you talking about? Where did you see these footprints? And he's like, oh, it's just a little ways up. And she goes a little bit further up and she sees absolutely nothing. So she turns around and says, I'm just going to head back to camp. I don't see anything. And I'm kind of tired, you know, I just want to chill. So I'm going back. But you're free to look if you want, you know. So she turns to head back. And as she turns to head back to the camp, all hell would break loose. So at this point, they're in the sand dunes. They're far away from Lena, way far away to where Lena would never be able to hear her if she screamed. Nonetheless, as she turns around to go back to the campsite, Roman grabs Beatrice from behind with his arm around her neck like this and throws her down into the sand. He rolls her over and straddles her. And she thinks, what is this? Is this a joke? This is a sick joke. Like, what are you doing to me? Like, why are you doing this? And he doesn't say much, but he does pull a hidden hammer and a rope out from his pockets that she had no idea he had. And he puts them on the sand, getting ready to tie her ass up. Now, she is like, I don't think so.
Don't fuck with me. I have the power of God and anime on my side. Wait,
That's when she realizes this is not a joke. This is for real. And he has some serious, sick plans in mind for her and possibly for Lena as well. So Beatrice quickly grabs the rope and she throws it far away. Brilliant plan. Throws it far away because now if he wants to tie her up, he has to go run and get that rope and she can get up and run, right? But he threatens her. He threatens to hurt her, break her arm, whatever. She ends up thinking, okay, the only way I'm going to be able to get out of this is if I go along with this. And she comes up with this brilliant plan. And she tells Roman, look, you don't have to tie me up. You don't have to beat me or hurt me or kill me or me. Like, I'm willing to do anything sexual with you, whatever you want, but can we at least just do it in the privacy of the tent? Like, why do we have to do it out here and why do you have to be so mean? I'm willing, I'm ready, whatever, let's go, right? Now, obviously she doesn't mean this, obviously, but she's trying to survive here. Like, she's trying to make sure that he doesn't her, that he doesn't beat her and he doesn't kill her and bury her in that sand and nobody will ever find her body. So she tries to go along with it. Now, somehow, this kind of like entices Roman, which is kind of weird because like usually these people get off from like tying people up and beating them first. But he goes along with it and he decides, okay, that might be a little bit easier anyway, so let's do it. So they start to head back towards camp. So as they're getting closer and closer approaching camp, Beatrice and Roman are walking side by side. Now he does have her tied up at this point. He has her arms and her legs tied up at this point, but she's able to walk just enough to where she can walk towards the camp. But as they get closer, Roman decides, no, Lena's back at the camp. And if she gets her attention, I'm gonna have to fight both these girls and I don't wanna do that. So he changes his mind and he starts leading her away from camp again. And Beatrice realizes this is her only shot. Like, she has to get Lena's attention. That's the only person that can save her because she's tied up, right? So at this moment, she screams as loud as she can, Lena! You know? And Lena, like I said, was inside the truck, across the beach, past sand dunes, past the camp materials and tents, in the truck with the door shut, laying down asleep. So the possibilities of her even hearing this scream is like 1 in a million, but she feels like if she doesn't try, then she's gonna die. So she screams, Lena! And miraculously, Lena hears her. She wakes up, she hears the scream. She walks outside the truck to see where the scream is coming from. I mean, at first she didn't think that someone was in trouble, obviously. Because in those moments, you don't really think, oh, somebody's getting murdered out here, I better go save them. You just kind of think something else has happened, or even maybe somebody's drowning, I don't know, but something other than that. You really just don't want to believe that you're living this nightmare. Nonetheless, she goes outside the truck. She's looking for wherever the screams are coming from, because at this point she can't see Beatrice. She runs towards the scream. She finally sees a naked Beatrice laying on the ground because Roman had attacked her again to shut her up, shoves his hand over her mouth. And so Lena sees Beatrice naked, tied up, because at this point he had taken her, Beatrice's bathing suit off to her, obviously, and he's on top of her. Roman is straddling her with a hammer in one hand and, you know, trying to smother her with the other hand. And so Lena freaks out. She's thinking, what am I gonna do? I'm just a girl. Because she was only like 5'0" nothing. And this guy is like, he was a big dude. He was like 6'4", okay? She's like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna stop this guy? And all she could think to do was to just yell at him and get his attention so that he doesn't hurt Beatrice. So she yells, get off of her, get off of her. What are you doing? Get off. Quit hurting her. You know, she's just freaking out on this guy. Basically, just wants him to get his attention off of her. And it works. He gets up, he gets off of Beatrice, which I'm guessing he was like, oh, she's tied up. Let me go tie this bitch up, you know? He turns his attention to Lena and starts coming after Lena. Now, Lena realizes this and she books it to the truck. And what she's trying to do is get to that truck to get to her cell phone so that she can at least call for help and let somebody know where they are, because literally nobody knows where they're at. So she wants help right away. And literally the minute that she grabs her cell phone out of her backpack, out of the truck, she feels this horrid pain in the back of her head and just feels blood run down the back of her neck. And what it was Roman behind her, hitting her in the head with a claw hammer, trying to kill her. And at this moment, she can't believe what she's going through. I mean, her and her backpacking friend were just supposed to go sightseeing and see the world and see Australia and the beauty that Australia has. And now they're in this position where this man is trying to and kill both of them. And all of a sudden, she feels this claw hammer hit her and hit her and hit her again. He hits her 4 times in the back of the head with this hammer. Now, most people would probably pass out from this. Miraculously though, Lena didn't pass out. She got a little dizzy and fuzzy-headed or whatever, but she kept her wits about her. And she swung around and threw her hands up to stop the hitting with the hammer, asking Roman, what the hell are you doing? Why are you doing this to us? So Lena, being the small woman that she was, she slipped out from under Roman and she books it. She runs, but she had dropped the phone in the truck. And Roman decides, well, I'm just gonna chase him with my truck. If I can run him down, I can kill him, right? Easy peasy. There's 2 of them, 1 of me. Let me get in my truck. So he gets in his truck and he starts chasing these 2 girls. And Lena runs after Beatrice. She is able to untie her. And the first thing they can think of to do is to split up, because if they go in one direction, they have more of a chance of dying and both getting hit by this truck. But if they split up, maybe one of them can get help for the other. So Beatrice books it to the left, off into the sand dunes. Her naked ass running through the sand dunes, and Roman sees her run through the sand dunes, right? And he's like, well, Lena is going straight. She's going down the beach. So he decides to pursue Lena because she's obviously the easiest one to hit, since the beach is kind of more straight than the sand dunes. So he chases after Lena and chases her for about a whole mile before she runs into the sand dunes. I mean, at this point, she's bleeding. Her adrenaline is pumping. She's wigging out. She has no idea how she's going to survive this mess with this crazy asshole behind her in this big ass truck trying to chase her down and run her over. So she books it into the sand dunes. And as she does, Roman follows her. And since he's in this big truck with these big wheels that is made to ride on these beaches and Australia, he's obviously right behind her. And so he starts hitting her. All of a sudden starts feeling him hit her on the back with this truck. Now he doesn't hit her hard enough to run her over, which is really weird. Anyway, he hits her 2, 3, 4, 5 times in the back. And Lena, every single time, she's so brave. She gets up and she goes again each time. This bitch falls and gets back up. Y'all, I can't say enough about how they fought for their lives this fateful day. So after he hits her 4 times with the bumper of his truck, Lena falls to the ground once again, and she realizes she's bleeding so bad, she's losing so much blood, and she's, you know, losing all this energy, and the adrenaline is starting to wear off in her body. And so she decides the best thing for her to do is to hop on top of the truck, because if she stays on the ground at this point, he's definitely going to get sick of just ramming into her, and he's finally going to run her over and kill her. So if she stays on the ground, she's bound to die. But if she jumps on top of that truck, maybe she has a chance. Maybe she has even a chance to rest at least. And so she musters all the strength that she has left, and she waits for Roman to turn back around and come and hit her again with the bonnet of the truck. And when he does, he swings his truck back around, and she hops her ass on top of the hood of his truck, grabs the antenna, pulls herself up with all the strength that she has left, and she jumps on top of the truck. This enrages Roman, who at this point was just playing with these girls, you know, just tormenting them before he's gonna kill them. And he knows what he wants in the end. He's just gonna rape them and kill them. But this enrages him because he didn't expect this. So Roman gets out of the truck, stops the truck, gets out, tries everything he can to get Lena off of the truck. He's jumping at her. He's jumping on top of like the seats in the truck to like jump up there. And each time he does that, she just kicks him in the face. Kicks him and kicks him and kicks him. He's trying to throw the hammers at her. He's doing everything that he possibly can. And at this moment, Lena realizes that she's bleeding so bad that she said that she felt like it was like raining blood, because she just saw the drops and the drops of the blood just raining down on the roof of the truck. And she's just losing consciousness at this point. She doesn't know what to do. She's just trying to survive. Meanwhile, Beatrice is down at the other side of the beach, and she's hiding behind the sand dunes because she thinks that obviously Roman's gonna come back for her, right? So she's hiding and hiding and hiding, and finally she hears a truck coming, and she's like, oh no, he's coming back for me, he's coming back for me. But she decides to go ahead and peek her head up above the sand dune, and she sees a different truck. This isn't Roman. This is help. This is possibly someone who can save her and Lena's life. Like the heavens have opened up and given her a chance to survive. So she runs out from behind the sand dunes, and she starts to flag down this truck. Now, mind you, Beatrice is naked, okay? And she's a beautiful girl, and she is out here in the middle of the beach naked, flagging down these guys that are in this truck. And it's like 4 younger adult guys, and they're like fishermen or whatever, and they were headed down there to go fishing. And so they see Beatrice and they're like, what the hell is this? But when they get closer, after thinking it was like a joke kind of, they get closer and they realize that this girl is like in serious need of help. And so they stop the car, and Beatrice jumps in the car with them. Now she tells him everything. She tells him everything that happened and everything that's gone on. And so they're like, okay, we're gonna take you back to the entrance to get you some help. We're gonna find the cops or whatever. And she's like, no, 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 you can't. You can't take me back. Because Lena had not abandoned Beatrice. She hadn't run away from Beatrice. She had run towards Beatrice to help her. So Beatrice knew she had to help Lena. Regardless of, even if she didn't do that, she had to help her. She couldn't just leave her on that beach to die with Roman. There's no way she deserved that. So the guys agree, and they'd agree to go find Lena. Now, back at Lena and Roman, Roman has jumped back into his truck, and he is driving erratically all through the sand dunes, all over the beach, trying to like slam on the brakes and sling Lena off of the top of the truck so he can get her off of his truck, right? And just be done with her at this point. Like at this point, he's sick of messing with her and he just wants to kill her. So he's, you know, slinging her all over the top of the truck. She's holding on for dear life, losing consciousness, coming back, hanging on. Miraculously, she doesn't fall off of this truck. And finally Roman gets so sick of this and he's like, all right, that's it. He stops the truck, he gets out and he says, Lena, please get down. Please get down. This is ridiculous. And he's literally telling her, this is ridiculous, quotes. And she's like, why is this ridiculous? Why would I get down? You're trying to kill me. Like, you have hit me in the head several times with a hammer. You wanted me dead. I'm not getting down. Are you crazy? That's ridiculous. So he says, what do I have to do to get you off my truck? And she's like, I'll get down if you throw away your weapons. Now, I don't know what she was thinking at this point, because regardless of if he has weapons, he's still gonna kill you, girl. Like, what are you doing? But she literally could not hang on anymore, and she had already been nearly losing consciousness completely, and she was scared she was gonna die. So what other option does she have, really? I guess. So miraculously, Roman agrees, and he takes 2 hammers and a knife out of his truck and he throws them into the sand dunes, far enough away to where he can't get to them if she gets down. And Lena does what she said she would, and she gets down off the roof of the truck and gets in the passenger side of the vehicle. Now, they start heading back up to where Beatrice had originally been, back up towards camp. And I don't know what Roman's intentions were at this point, but they're heading back up there. And as they head up there, Lena is like basically, you know, hanging out the window, like, you know, kind of like swinging, because she's like, she has no blood left in her basically. She's about to pass out. And in some weird twist of like sympathy, I guess, Roman had given her ball cap to put on, I guess, to stop the bleeding. So she has this ball cap on. That's the only thing that is stopping her bleeding from bleeding out, basically, because head wounds bleed really bad. I mean, you can get a small cut on your head and it's going to bleed more than you would think it would. But anyway, now as they're going back towards camp, they meet head on with the fisherman and Beatrice, who's in the car with the fisherman, and she says, that's them, that's his truck, that's who it is. And the fishermen stop, and they see Lena flopping around, hanging out the window, and that's when they realize, well, they see all this blood on her, and they realize that has to be her, right? But they would later say that when Lena actually got out of the truck and started running towards them, they didn't know if she was a man or a woman because she had been beaten that bad. So it was pretty gruesome. But Lena did end up getting hers, because Roman stopped as well, since he now knows that somebody is on to him, I guess. He stopped as well, and Lena got out of the car, got her backpack, and went running towards the fisherman. And each time she looked back, because she just knew that Roman was going to be running after her, but he didn't run after her. She got in the truck with the guys, and they went for help. Now, as for Roman, he knew at this point he was done for, right? Because they know what's going on. There's one way out of the beach, you know, like if he goes that way, they're gonna catch him. So there's not really anywhere for him to run, right? But he does. So Roman drives the opposite direction, and these guys are driving this opposite direction to take the girls to get help, because she seriously needs some medical attention. And let's be honest, Beatrice needs some effing clothes at this point. But they go get help from like the only gas station around. The owner of the gas station just happened to be there, and he knew this area like the back of his hand as well. And so when cops arrive at this gas station where the girls are, they life flighted the girls out of there because Beatrice was in such, Lena was in such bad condition. She was unconscious the whole ride to the hospital. And the guys go back with the police to get Roman. They're driving down the beach and they're thinking, oh Lord, this is gonna be like a shootout or something, like this is gonna be bad. But they finally see Roman up in the sand dunes, and as he sees the police coming towards him, he tries to run again, but he gets stuck in the sand dunes and he basically gives in to police. I mean, he knew it was over for him at this point. You know, where's he gonna go? So he went in without a fight. He didn't try to deny anything. He didn't try to, you know, anything. He just went in with the police like nothing had happened. So these are the pictures of Lena in the hospital. She doesn't look as bad as you would think she would, but she's so swollen and you can tell like she's in a lot of pain. And what he did to her is gonna stick with her for the rest of her life. I mean, this has got to be something that like you really need to have some serious counseling from, you know what I'm saying? But the girls survived, and they proved to themselves and to the world and to Roman mostly that they were not going to be taken advantage of that day. If they weren't going to outstrength him, they were definitely going to outsmart him. And that's exactly what they did. They were so brave. They showed so much courage, and especially Lena, you know, trying to take the attention off of Beatrice onto herself, knowing she could get hurt or have that same fate happen to her. She didn't care. She was just trying to help her friend. And in those moments, they bonded like no two people had ever bonded in the history of the world, because only they know their nightmare. Only they know the truth of the story and how horrid it actually was on them at that beautiful beach that one fateful day. Today, they both live like across the world, one in Brazil, one in Germany, but they do visit each other. They, you know, they laugh about it now, and they're able to speak about it and show people that the strength that is inside you, you never know you have until you have to show it. Until something happens where you have to prove to yourself and everyone else that, you know, deep down, we are strong. We're all strong. We all have this ability to save our own lives, to outsmart or outwit or even out-strengthen people. And I just thought this was a huge heroic story that really touched me, because these women really showed the world what women could do, you know. And in the trial, Roman, you know, he ended up being found guilty of all of the charges that were against him, like kidnapping and all of this, except for the attempt to murder Lena, which I didn't understand. Also, he didn't get the attempted murder of his ex-wife, who had just been beaten, and rape of her as well. He didn't get charged for that as well. Like the week before he had done all this stuff to her, she thought it was because she had not gone to the police. And she felt a lot of guilt, because she felt like if she had gone to the police, maybe this wouldn't have happened to these girls. But anyways, yeah, that really angers me that he didn't get those, because obviously that, to me, like, that's the bulk of the story, him trying to kill Lena. So why wouldn't he get charged with that? I don't know. But he did end up getting 17 years, which is not enough, especially if he gets out on good behavior. I mean, he could be out in 10, right? But he did get sent to prison. Hopefully, for some reason, they keep him there for the rest of his life, and he never does this again, because they did find out, like, the owner of that gas station has seen him there with another girl backpacker weeks prior to this. So, and then, like, so he, like, saw him with them shopping together. But then, like, the next day when he came back in, the girl wasn't with him. And girls have been going missing all over that area. So he believes that there are girls buried out in the sand out there that Roman just raped, murdered, and just buried out in the sand, and nobody knows. And he's just not telling us. So it could be more, but at least these two were able to fight him off and, you know, show him that they weren't going to let him do just whatever he wanted to do. Anyways, what do you guys think about this case? What would you do in that position? If you saw your friend being attacked on a beach, would you take on the attention onto yourself? Like, would you be able to be that brave, or would you run? What would you do? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching the video. Thanks for hanging out today. I'm sorry it's been a while. I'll do my best to upload more, but you know how it is. Make sure you hit that subscribe button before you leave, and share the video. It really helps your girl out. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.